you know, we found Haven. Now Haven is an alternative press style distributor. They're much smaller than Diamond, but they actually will pick you up. There's no minimums. You don't have to sell 1,500 comics or $1,500.
And they're really the only alternative to Diamond.
They're the true alternative, and the nice thing about Haven is that they are like us in the sense that it started with 2 guys in their garage, and from there they branched out and they did what we do. They call every comic book store in the country. Hey, you know, do you want to carry our catalog? And we have this catalog, and we can carry it, and you know, we have, you know, so many different small press publishers in there. They don't sell Marvel, DC, Image, you know, those guys. And you know, if you flip through the book and you're not a hardcore comic book reader, you may not know most of the publishers, but you'll know some of them, and you'll recognize some of the titles, and there's licensed titles and stuff. So, I mean, the challenge, of course, is, you know, is Haven or anybody else ever going to come up and supplant Diamond or give them a run for their money or take any of that pie away? And the answer is probably not. But if you're a little guy and you're trying to make it in the industry, like I think you mentioned what's your final goal, what do you actually want out of this? And so my thing is, I want to do this for a living. I don't want to have a day job anymore, because I have a day job. So all 4 of us that work with in my company, we all have day jobs and we all share the work, and you know, we do long hours and all that stuff. But you know, ultimately, if you want to do it for a living, you know, Haven or something like that is a good alternative. And you got to use the shoe lever. You got to call people. You got to do the conventions. They're fun, which is that's a good part of it. But you know, we went to WonderCon, and our web traffic, it either tripled or doubled. Doug, do you know if it tripled or doubled? It jumped up, and the state of California, which is where the show was in San Francisco, the state of California became our #1 state for traffic after that, you know. And before that it was Colorado, and second place was our next state we had, and the third place was our next state we had. So, you know, conventions are definitely worth it, but I think you just got to do the work. You got to market it yourself and stretch your dollar. And you know, Diamond is definitely a wall to have to climb over or get around or climb under. Well, but, you know,
I don't know. I think they're kind of undermining themselves.
I agree, absolutely.
You know, and a couple of the other things that, you know, since I am doing this full time, I'm kind of trying to put a bunch of irons in the fire. And so not only am I trying to self-publish, I'm still trying to get publishers to pick up my stuff. So, you know, this project is something that I'm kind of reverse engineering the marketing process, where I made it a webcomic first to see whether or not it was even worth going to print. And you know, hopefully this is a project, I think right now Revelations is almost at 1.7 million page views. That will be appealing enough that you know, a publisher like Dark Horse might take a look at it. But also exploring other avenues. I mean, just trying to diversify my income stream, taking on freelance jobs, you know, got me the subculture gig, which is something that I'm actually getting paid to illustrate. And now it's as a webcomic. This is the graphic novel, the series that's a trade paperback. So that provides me with a little bit of income, but maybe not as much upside as if someone were going to make a movie out of Revelations, you know, the musical or something like that. The other thing that I discovered recently that's very interesting is, as a lot of these print-on-demand shops start popping up, they actually incorporate distribution. So this last collection of the 24-hour comics people book that we put together for this year, we're doing through a company called Create Space, which is an Amazon company. So they basically do all the legwork. They actually give you your barcode, but you can't take that barcode anywhere else. If you're unhappy with how they printed your graphic novel and decided you want to go somewhere else, you can't take that barcode anywhere else. I finally figured out what they needed from me, and I think they're okay. You just can't go with a really huge book because their limit is 100 megabytes to upload your book. And but the nice thing about it is they'll actually put you on Amazon. They'll do the peek inside for you as well, so you don't have to go through the rigmarole of doing that. And then, so you're good to go. So basically all you have to do is point people in the right direction and let people know about it. Because I think really, in my opinion, I see a lot more of comic sales being direct market. And you know, diamonds may become less and less relevant at a certain point.
Yeah, that's the other one's DCBS is another one that's
starting
to really gain some speed, and it's an online ordering system. They'll send you the books directly, and it's always at like 40 to 50% off cover price.
Yeah, that's how you got this, right?
Absolutely. I have mixed feelings about it though, because I really believe in the brick and mortar comic book store. I think there's just something about going and holding the book in your hand and you know, connecting with the
It's being among your people. Yeah, that's what it is, really.
But you know, connecting with them and all that kind of thing. There's something to be said for that. But you know, I guess if you live far away, then that's DCB service. I think it's dcbservice.com if I have to guess it off the top of my head. I don't know. You can Google it, DCBS, and you'll find it.
It's DCB service.
Or DCB. Well, yeah, we'll put it.
I also want to quickly point out one of the other reasons that the distributor is important, because we keep talking about Diamond and all of these other things, is not just as a venue of getting your work out, but to cut your expense hugely. Because if you are distributing yourself to individual comic shops, a comic shop will buy 2 or 3 copies. And unless it's somebody local that you can take them to, that means that you're paying the shipping every time you send out 2 copies.
And you're building that, and you're taking the time to, you know, render it.
As opposed to a distributor where most comic printing companies will actually ship your comics directly to the distributor, so you don't even deal with them at all. You know, you get 500 copies and they just go straight to the distributor, and the distributor sends them out with all the other comics that they're sending out. So it's just a fraction of the cost.
Yeah, the state of the industry is such that, I mean, if you've seen the catalog, you know, it comes out every month and it's chock full of comics everywhere. You know, it's this thick. It's like, so even if you get in, how are you going to get recognized? And printing, the cost of printing, printers are going out of business.
That's what I was going to, I mean, Jason's given us the last few minutes. I was just going to, because, if I may, like, stop me before. But that's a good one. It's just like, everyone here, how do you cut through the clutter? I mean, whether, you know, it's comics, pretty much anything, any sort of media you're creating now, you are in a media-saturated landscape. You know, and in print, it's a problem. In webcomics, I was going to, you know, hoping I can get something from you guys, because that's, you know, web's even more saturated. How do you cut through? Just, you know, if it, you know, maybe everyone get a minute, and just like, even, you know, from your experience, even self-publishing, or even getting recognized, getting your portfolio noticed. How do you cut through the clutter?
I'd say branding's a big part.
Yeah.
You know, if you have, you know, I mean, it's because if you have a really good, really in-depth quality, you know, piece of artwork or story that you're telling, but you need, because like you said, the landscape is so full of things, you have to have something that grabs a person's eyeball and at least makes them look for a second, so that they may pick up the book and open it up. Like, you know, one of Stan's books says, which I'm sure he'll hold up for us here.
In case you were wondering what branding is, that's Stan.
So I think that's probably the most important thing, you know, as any kind of creative that you can do. If you can create a logo or an icon or something that grabs people's attention, then of course you have to have something to back that up with once you get their attention. But